Hey y'all, so here it is, September 10th, 2017. I am on my way back from Utah. Second trip I've taken to Utah in 2 weeks for my kids, for one of my kids. Anyways, my son, Austin, who's my oldest, took a job teaching down there, so I helped move him down there. And so it was another great bonding experience I got to have. Just a road trip, me and him only, which I never got to do before, with him only. And so, which was kind of cool. Anyhow, so, this trip I got to really get to talking to him a little bit and figure him out a little bit more as far as where he's at. And probably the shocking thing for me is I know he's 25 and he's a man, but I just kind of stunned at how how much of a man he is. So his early years, probably from about the time he was about 4 or 5 years old, maybe a little bit later than 5, maybe 6 or 7 years old, I started running my own business, which kind of took me away a lot, and I'd spend quite a bit of time away from my family, traveling and doing things like that. So probably, running a business was whatever. I wouldn't recommend that kind of a business where you have to travel a lot away from your family if you've got one. Just because you're making money doesn't, or trying to justify it by your providing is something that you probably I wouldn't recommend. Anyways, my son Austin, probably my two oldest, he and my oldest daughter, are probably the two that I had probably the least bond with as far as things go, because of the fact that like I said, a lot of their childhood years I was not home. I was doing even when I was home, I was working sometimes 15-16 hours a day, 6 days a week, running my business. And it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't conducive to being a good dad. You think that, hey, if you're providing for your family, you're putting food on the table, roof over their head, you're doing things like that, hey, that's what you're supposed to do. Well, probably the key to being a good dad is, regardless of how much money you make or anything, that you're there. That you're going to all of their events at school, that you're meeting with their teachers, you're doing all that kind of stuff. And so I missed out on a lot of bonding time that way. So it was really good to spend that time with him. Anyhow, getting him down there, one of the other things that I realized was that he really is despite that, he's probably my biggest defender, and he's probably my biggest champion. And one of the things too, I'm trying to get him down there, and we're getting him set up, and going to buy him a car, some other things, and I'm not trying to get in his way. I'm trying to let him make these decisions on his own and doing things. And I actually took him to a car dealership, and and we had discussed, okay, this is the price of what they have on their car. This is what I suggest you offer, and this is what I suggest you do, because they're not going to come back with that offer and do that. And anyhow, I was kind of just giving him some pointers. You know, I bought a few cars in my life, and so he goes in there and he takes that car for a test drive, comes back. Salesperson goes, "You want to buy it?" And he's like, "Yeah, let's take a look at it. Let's see what we got." Goes, and then my kid just comes right out and says, "Will you take this for it?" The guy's like, "Well, I don't know. Why don't you come in? Let's ask my boss." And they come in. I just told my kid, "Hey, they're not gonna take your offer. So just be prepared to stand your ground, right?" And so the guy comes back, and they literally are within $100 of his offer. And so I look up because I was expecting for him to go to say no, you know, and because I told him to stand his ground and do that and you know, play it a little bit tougher. And maybe take that $100 over, but include all the tax, title, and license and everything else that comes with it. Anyhow, you know, he looks at me when I make the offer, when they counter offer him, and he looks at me like, you know, what should I do? And I just looked at him, and I looked back down and kind of looked away from him. And put it up to him, and you know, he accepted the offer, and that was it. And it was a great deal. I mean, he did it, but he learned how to negotiate for a car and did that. And you know, he came out with two things that he said to me after that, because you know, me being the protector that I always was in the family, you know, I don't want anybody to get screwed or doing it, and I'll jump in. And I'll try to handle business for people that they should be handling for themselves. You know, if one of my kids gets ripped off on some sort of deal, I try to get on the phone to the company or whoever it is and go down, see whoever, and you know, do that. That's what I used to do. But with Austin here, he comes to me and goes, "Dad, thanks for not getting in the way and just letting me do my own thing." He said also, "Thanks for, you know, giving me the pointers and giving me the confidence to do this," because once I did it, he realized it's not a bad thing to say no to somebody and to come in and get, you know, negotiate for a car and do that. So he was appreciative. And one of the things that he told me, he goes, "Dad, I noticed that you're super different than you used to be, and I'm so proud of you." So that meant a lot to me. And anyways, the point of this video here is, you know, road trip bonding part 2. But the keys that I wanted to talk to you about is, you know, whatever job it is, it's not worth the time away from your kids. Okay, find something else. I know some people it's a job economy or whatever it is, but you can find something where you can spend more time with your kids. Or when you are home with your kids, you better doggone make a bigger effort to make that time with them super special. And then the other thing is let your kids grow up and give them the ability to make their own choices. You know, let them touch the hot stove and learn for themselves. Sometimes it's okay to give them tips and pointers, but then allow them to do it. And this is exactly what he said to me. And as we're shopping for things for his apartment too, I was like, "Hey, you know, I felt like I was pretty good. I stayed out of your business. I would give you some advice." He goes, "Yeah," and I took the advice I wanted to take, and I left the advice I didn't. But I appreciate you giving it to me. I think that's great. Anyhow, let them do their thing. Let them grow up. So, anyways, check out my YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe. Dad with the Vlog. Go ahead and check me out at Twitter at RickFrancis71. You can also check me out on Instagram at Dad with the Vlog. Have a good one, y'all.